to it.
No, stop.
Oh my God, what?
Hello and welcome.
Okay.
Try that again. Let's redo it.
I'm not Laurel. Sorry. You can edit this, but hello and welcome to another episode of Nightmare Stories from the Otherside. Tonight we are here with Barnaby Jones. A little bit about Barnaby Jones. He is a prominent cryptozoologist and paranormal researcher based in Wisconsin. He is known for founding the Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society and hosting shows like Monsters on the Edge and the Paranormal Spectrum on the Untold Radio Network. His expertise has been showcased in various media outlets, including American Paranormal Magazine and My Haunted Hometown on TNE Network, along with numerous podcasts. Jones and his team primarily investigate Wisconsin, but have also ventured across the United States, exploring a wide range of locations such as haunted sites and remote forests to uncover elusive creatures and spirits. Welcome, Barnaby, and can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun based on
they always are.
Our startup here. Yeah, I've always been interested in cryptozoology and paranormal. I've done a lot of paranormal research prior to even starting Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. I had my most terrifying, most bizarre paranormal experience even before CAPS started, and Bigfoot activity the very first time that we ever went out as CAPS. So that's where it all started for me. But like you said, I've been all over the United States looking for cryptids. I've been in haunted coal mines, battlefields of Gettysburg. I've gone out to the properties around Skinwalker Ranch as well to do some research and investigating out there. So I've done quite a bit of stuff. I've seen a lot of weird things, and I've done a lot of weird things. So
nice. And this is definitely really up Chad's alley. So I'm going to kind of give him the reins of this podcast tonight. And then Natalie and I will jump in from time to time as well.
I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to try not to be loud tonight.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So what other states have you been looking for Bigfoot in?
Bigfoot specifically, we have done Ohio. We've done some work by Salt Fork State Park. We were at the convention a couple years ago, had some stuff happen there. Kentucky, Tennessee, Upper Michigan, Colorado, Missouri, a few more, but that's what I can think of off the top of my head. So
yeah. Now most of the stuff that I did when years ago was more towards the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, Montana. And then I spent 2 years in Alaska too. So that's where I first started believing in Bigfoot. There's just too many things that happened up there not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the very squatchy parts of the country. I have not been to the southeast corner, like Louisiana and Florida,
Sure.
and that corner right down there, as well as the very top of Montana, Oregon, and Washington are the only parts of the U.S. I haven't been to. So
sure, and down south, that's where they classify as skunk apes, right?
Absolutely, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
The two most squatchiest parts of the country are the ones that I have not been to.
Yeah, I've been down in that area, but not looking for anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been to California, but I did it like touristy. I went to San Diego and Los Angeles and stuff like that. But that was many years ago before I was even part of CAPS and that. So I was still doing weird stuff out on that trip as well. I actually went out to Roswell and the La Brea tar pits and some of the other weird, eccentric sites and locations and stuff. But again, like I said, I've always been interested in this stuff, but never got into the research until we started CAPS. So.
Sure.
So for Roswell, do you like the city of Roswell or like the outskirts?
No, we went through the city itself. It was kind of like a bucket list tour. So we went to like Mount Rushmore, Grand Canyon, Vegas, Los Angeles, that whole trip there. And one of the places we stopped was Roswell because I was really interested in it. We went to the museum and I got to see that a little bit and some of the more touristy sites around it. But even the crash site was nowhere near actually the city of Roswell. It's
Right.
outside, several miles outside the city, so didn't get to go there. But the museum was very cool. A lot of information, a lot of stuff going on there, and that was definitely interesting to check out. So
Yeah, I got to go there back in, when was that? 2010, I believe it was. Yeah, it was 2010. My wife and I were down there, and we got to go check out the museum and spent a good couple hours there. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, I was there, I think, in 2011, I believe.
Okay. What's
It
going on?
would have been closer to 2000 when I was there in that area.
Yeah, for us, it was like one of those kind of last minute trips. We're in Santa Fe. And we're trying to figure out what to do. I'm like, well, let's head down to Roswell, check it out.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've always been interested in UFOs and extraterrestrial life. And
Mhm.
It is definitely the right time to be alive right now if you're interested in that, with all the stuff going on in Congress and the congressional hearings and the whistleblowers and stuff coming forward. There's a lot of stuff happening and a lot of things that people don't even realize. The news thankfully is covering a lot of it now, but even so, you're missing out on so much. There's so many books by these whistleblowers and the people doing the research, and that really needs to be picked up as well, like Eminent by Lou Elizondo, and Skinwalkers in the Pentagon. Amazing books if you're interested in the topic to check out and really get a grasp on what's actually going on behind the scenes of Congress, and what the government actually does know or completely doesn't know in that matter. So
Yeah.
I think it was over the summer, I picked up a book I found at Barnes Noble by Garrett M. Graff called UFO. And I haven't got a chance to read it yet, but eventually I'll get to it.
yeah, not familiar with that one, but there's tons of UFO literature and stuff out there.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent sized book.
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh yes.
like,
Here, let me.
I don't know,
read, 'cause
600
clearly
pages.
He stopped right here
Well, I'm just trying to.
and was trying to figure out what page you ended on. Like clearly, there's a lot more than that. Get you, smarty pants.
Okay, how much-
100,
100 pages. Okay.
518.
518 pages.
That's definitely a brick book right there. Yes.
It is.
If I hit you with it, will it hurt?
No, stop.
Oh, it won't. Okay. Did that hurt?
Okay, stop.
Now it's on to hit your head.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, so definitely an interesting topic for myself. And it's like next year I want to plan a UFO research documentary style road trip out to Nevada for like a week or so and just kind of see what happens.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that, for the most part, you don't even have to leave, your home state. I don't know where you guys are specifically from, but like right here in
Minnesota.
Wisconsin, I mean, where are you from?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Oh, so you're really close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no matter where you are, even right here in Wisconsin, we get tons of reports. I mean, a couple a month at least of strange lights in the sky and different weird, bizarre things down the southern part of the state recently around Madison, Wisconsin stuff. We've had some out of there, and I mean, this stuff is, I think, since the stuff started really making headlines, it was like 2001 or so when the congressional hearings and that stuff started, that, with the pandemic and everything, people had a lot more time to get out and just spend time looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For the most part, all these people that say, well, I don't think UFOs exist. I don't think aliens exist. This is all a bunch of stuff. And they're the ones that walk around with their phone in their hands, staring down at it all day. Right.
Yeah.
You're never going to see a UFO. You're never going to see Bigfoot. You're never going to see paranormal when you're sitting there staring down at your phone.
Yeah.
And given the chance that people got, whether it be unfortunate or, whatever you want to say about the whole pandemic situation, it gave the people this opportunity to breathe a little bit, as weird as that may sound, but to just go outside and look up at the stars, look up at the sky, and experience life for a little bit again. And
Exactly.
all the stuff that was going on and looking for distractions, people started picking up more hobbies of, astronomy and looking in telescopes and reading these books, like you said down there, and just gave these people an opportunity to look at this stuff from a different angle. And that opens up where we're getting a lot more sighting reports. People are spending a lot more time out in the woods. People are spending a lot more time looking up at the stars. And it's not so much that these phenomenon are more prevalent now. It's the fact that more people are taking the time to look at them and dig into it. And you're getting a lot more people realizing that this stuff is out there and that there's legitimacy to it, and the work that other people that are out in the field that have been doing this for a lot longer than these people that have just picked it up. And they're realizing that there's more to these topics, and that, this stuff is legitimate, and there's things that we should be worried about and take into consideration. And that's what we're seeing now, is these people coming out with the more reports from spending time in the woods and all that. And so it's not that things are happening more, it's that people are realizing it. So
Yeah, like I remember one instance for me, was coming back home, I think it was October or November. My youngest daughter had a birthday party, and like over neighborhood Applebee's, I saw these 4 or 5 lights in the sky, like really low, and they were perfectly spaced apart. And I knew it wasn't Starlink because they were too low and they were too bright. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I, went another 2 blocks where I could actually pull over, and one by one, these lights just started to disappear. It's like no explanation. It's just like, okay, that was just like, I'm like, definitely some kind of alien technology right there, because it was just, and then I think it was a couple summers ago, during the summertime, I get up really early and go outside and walk, and it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I saw Starlink right outside our house. I'm like, well, that's pretty sweet. So then I get up to the corner, and kind of like right where Starlink was going, all of a sudden I saw this bright light moving at me really fast. It stopped, and then shot straight up and was gone.
Wait, I thought you were over by Amanda's neighborhood.
No, it was just right up on the corner here.
Oh,
But yeah, 4:30 in the morning, this light right where they were just shot straight up and was gone. I'm like, okay. I kind of felt uneasy. I'm like, should I go back home or should I keep walking? But I'm just like, no, I'm gonna keep going. But it was just like, definitely not one of those what the hell moments.
Yeah.
airplanes and Starlink definitely do not exhibit that behavior. No.
No.
Not at all. Not how fast that thing was shot up.
Mhm. Absolutely. Now, if it shot straight down, that would be a completely different story. But
Yeah.
that would make a lot of different news for other reasons. But
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, like another thing too, for like the UFO trip I want to do out west, I also want to like incorporate some very well-known paranormal locations out in Nevada. So kind of do a little mix of UFO and paranormal.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you take a look at these different phenomenon and you strip away the names of what it is, right? And you just look at the reported sightings, the reported phenomenon that you're experiencing, you start to realize that a lot of these things that we consider like extraterrestrial or paranormal or fairy or fae world, they all have very similarities. They all kind of can be grouped together, and those lines between what you're actually talking about kind of blur, because the same stories that you hear in, extraterrestrial lore, you can find also in fairy lore. The abductions, the kidnappings of people and that kind of stuff, the voices in the woods luring you out there.
Mm-hmm.
You hear these same tropes, these same stories throughout the different phenomenons. And that's really what my team focuses on. Cryptids, Anomalies, Paranormal Society. We take away the names and we look at what's actually being described, what's being reported. And when you allow yourself to do that and look at these different areas, you start to realize the similarities and stuff. And then you can start to make new connections and realize that, well, this stuff might be connected to that, and this might be connected to that. And it allows you to make other connections that you didn't realize, but it's really, really interesting stuff. Like you talk about like Skinwalker Ranch and the hitchhiker effect, where these people are bringing these phenomenon home with them. A lot of people report going home after visiting Skinwalker Ranch and stuff and seeing these orbs of light following them down the streets or in their homes, and then they experience like radiation burn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just weird, bizarre stuff like that. But the thing is I think that when you experience something like this, for whatever reason you have, whether it be driving down the road and a creature crosses your path that you can't explain, or you see a light in the sky, or a paranormal experience in your house, when you've had that experience, something happens in your head, and you think, if that actually happened, if I'm not crazy and this actually did happen to me, what else is out there? And
Right.
it allows you to take that step back, and it reopens that little pathway in your brain that, when you're a kid and you have an invisible friend, and your parents, your friends, and everybody tell you that doesn't exist, that's not there, and over time you get conditioned to not see those things, to not experience them. Your sense of wonder is drawn away and pulled out of you. And as an adult, when you experience something like that, that sense of wonder starts to pull back. And when it opens that door and starts reinitiating that pathway, these people start to experience more and more of these phenomena. Maybe not because they're drawn to it or it's drawn to them, but because now they're open to it. And when you're open to, maybe something just moved out of the corner of my eye, and then you start thinking more about it and you start having more and more of these experiences because you're actually open to it and actually looking for it. And I think this is why, people say, well, they saw a Bigfoot. Well, now and they're seeing UFOs and they're having paranormal, and no, they're just a crazy person. Well, no, maybe they're seeing all that because now they're open to it. And it's not that it's finding them. It's been there this whole time. It's now that they're willing to accept it and willing to look for it and not just dismiss it as a shadow or the light flickering or what have you.
Yeah, I've seen paranormal stuff ever since I can remember, and it's just gone on through the years, and it's always been kind of a thing where I'm comforted by the thought that I know they're there. It's not scary to me. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I think that's another important fact is, people need to understand things. The biggest fear, I was just talking about this guy on my show, is your biggest fear is fear itself, is the fear of the unknown.
Yep.
We do people's houses. We go to private investigations at people's houses all over Wisconsin and stuff because, I say this 100 times, somebody has a picture of their grandma on the shelf, and their picture of their grandma goes flying across the room at them one night. And they think, oh my God, my house is possessed. I have demons. This thing is coming after me. It's going to kill me. They're freaking out. And we get this call to come in there and say, like, you got to get this thing out of our house. And we go in and we go, okay, well, first of all, let's take a look at this. What's going on? Well, my picture of my grandma came flying off the wall and shot across the room at me. And we're like, okay, your grandma passed away, right? Yeah, she passed away a couple years ago. Okay. And tell me about yourself right now. What are you going through? How are you feeling? Oh, well, I just went through a divorce. I lost my job. This happened, yada, yada. Okay. Now, here's the thing is, the souls of the people that we love and care about are with us all the time. They travel with us. They're always here with us. Did you ever stop and think that your grandma is the one that threw the picture at you to say, hey, I'm here with you. I'm watching over you. It's going to be okay. Pay attention.
Yep.
And they go, oh, wow. I never really thought about that. I just, just thought this was a demon, throwing stuff. And I'm like, well, like the demons don't really hate your grandma that much to throw her picture off the wall.
Right.
That's not really the MO of demons, to throw things at you.
Yeah.
So, and once you start opening up that window, they start going, oh my gosh, you know what? The other day I thought I smelt my grandma's perfume. Oh, really? Yeah, oh yeah, me and my grandma were really close. She was the one I confided in and all this stuff. And once you start opening that pathway for these people, they can start to embrace that, and they start to understand, that this stuff is real and that this is what's going on. And then they start talking to her, oh, grandma, I appreciate you here. This is what I'm going through. And they can open that up. Now, granted, 99% of the time that may be the case. And there's still the cases where there's things out there that shouldn't be. And, maybe something is throwing your grandma's picture off the wall because it didn't like her. But that's what you do the investigation for, to figure that out. And you don't figure that out until you start putting these pieces in place. And it's really rewarding to be able to go into these people's houses and give them that sense of understanding and just explain stuff as to, because people, when they're afraid, they don't think logically all the time. We always want to think that when you're in a situation where, something bad happens, you think, oh, I'm going to be level-headed and clear, and I'm going to think this through, and it's a demon. Well, you didn't think that very long, did you? Because now you've jumped to that conclusion. You've automatically stepped to that. And that's this. Go ahead. That's
what TV told them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's very few shows on television. Everyone gets this picture of what paranormal is and investigating and all this stuff from what you see on TV. And from somebody who has spent hours in the field doing this, like, let me tell you, it is boring. When you go on a paranormal investigation, everyone wants to go and they want to see lights flashing and things moving and howling and wind and all this stuff. And it's not that. It is hours and hours on end sitting in a dark, cold space that nobody else wants to be because it's haunted and they don't want to be there. And here you are sitting in somebody's basement or attic or something because that's where they hear noises and stuff. And once you're done there, then you go home and you spend the same amount of time or more reviewing all the stuff that you did there and watching it over. And it is not glamorous. It is not not always a fun experience, and it can be, but it's a lot of work, and it is definitely not what you see on TV.
The one thing that I really learned in the last year since I started doing this is like patience.
Yep.
It's like you want to catch something, but you might not, but you just got to be patient because you never know what's going to happen.
Patience. Most important.
And then like too, with like, going through the footage, it's just like, okay, it's like you have to watch it 2, 3, 4 times over. And it's just like, I'm not seeing anything. And it's like, okay, wait, what was that? Was that a headlight from a car outside or somebody's flashlight? And you had to go watch it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all about knowing your equipment too, because we an example is we were on an investigation and the lights were off in the place. And on the video, I see this shadow go by. And I'm like, okay, there's no light. What the heck is casting a shadow? Right? There's no reason there should be a shadow. It's an entity, right? I caught something. Well, then I realized that our cameras have IR light. And the IR light, there's a person that walks between the IR light and the wall. And this is what casts the shadow in IR, in the infrared spectrum. Yep. So even though there's not regular light, you're still casting a shadow of the IR light. And, but, I don't want to say like people are, ignorant or anything, but the average person looking at that and doesn't take the second to comprehend what they're actually looking at goes, oh my gosh, I caught something. No, you didn't really catch nothing. So.
But yeah, so like one of my pieces of equipment, the Phasm camera, I have more issues with that than not, where it's like it'll quit working, and be like, I just don't get what's going on with the thing. But it's a great piece of equipment when it works. But 75% of the time, it doesn't work. It quits recording. It's just one of those things where it's like, is the spirit messing with it, or is it actually the camera? What the heck's going on?
That's interesting. I actually have 3 Phasm cameras on our team, and I don't have problems with any of mine. They all work really well. They're pretty workhorses for our team, and the older models that Ghost Stop used to sell, they're the little silver ones. Those I have issues with once in a while. They'll stop recording or error out or something. But the Phasms, I haven't had any problems with. So,
yeah, it seems like every location I go to, there's always something wrong with it. So I don't know.
Could be paranormal, could be something to do with the camera itself. I don't know.
Right.
But,
yeah.
we've-
So I'll give it a try at our next investigation. And if something goes wrong with it, it might just get thrown up against the wall. I don't know.
Sometimes you have to do that. Yes.
Right.
It's fixed.
Yeah.
You know what I would recommend is take it out and run it at your house.
Okay.
Run it in a controlled situation and see if it does the same thing. Because the problem is we've gone to locations and certain pieces of our equipment will not work. We do everything to troubleshoot them. We change batteries. We put a battery pack on them. We power them off. We do whatever it takes to do it, and they still won't work. Take it home, be like, all right, I'm going to rip this thing apart. I'm going to fix it, find out what's wrong with it, turn it on, works great as soon as you plug it in.
All right.
And it works fine. The next like 3 investigations we're on, no problems, nothing ever happens again. It's just certain things don't like certain locations. But if you're having the same problem over and over and over with the same piece of equipment, I would say it's probably the piece of equipment. But like I said, run it in a controlled situation. Just take it out, plug it in, run it at your house for 3-4 hours or whatever, and just let it record, see what happens. And if you have the same problems there, test it under controlled situations and see what you get.
All right. So back to Bigfoot, as a thought popped in my mind. Have you ever been down by Indiana State Sanatorium at all?
I have not. We haven't done much in Indiana.
Okay, because I've heard lately, probably in the last 6-7 months, that there's been sightings around the sanatorium of Bigfoot. So it's kind of like, and that's one of those locations that's like anybody can basically get into that location. Yeah. So it's like, if there's Bigfoot like in the woods, would like he or she, possibly attempt to get in the building, and people, some of the paranormal that they're experiencing there could be actual Bigfoot.
Okay, now that's messy.
That's a big ghost. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna be thinking about that now.
It's possible. I mean, we've heard stories of Bigfoot like going into old cabins or mines and stuff like that to seek shelter in that, or using it for shelter on and off. It's possible that they go into the old sanitarium, especially if there's open doors or open windows or something that it can and get in and have access to any kind of building like that that's older and abandoned.
Yeah, there's probably
so many
in that building. There's at least 10 entrances I can think off the top of my head that you can just get in.
Yeah, like that place is not secure at all.
Yeah. Definitely a possibility.
Okay, I don't like that thought now. Well,
it's a thought, because like, what if when Project Fear was there,
what is that
a few years ago, what they caught on the 3rd floor walking in front of the window was Bigfoot.
What? No, that was short.
Was it?
That was,
but no. It could have been.
You don't think Bigfoot can be short?
Right. It could be. It could be a kid.
Bigfoot have to have babies.
Right.
Yeah.
The baby Bigfoot.
Wow.
That thing was like.
Yeah, you never know.
That thing was like Eli size.
Well, it could be. Bigfoot.
So a lot of your Bigfoot sightings are considered to be juveniles, because your adults and stuff spend more time back off in the woods. They're smarter, they're older, they don't interact as much with humans and that. But a lot of your roadside crossings, the ones picking through garbage and stuff like that, are your younger ones that either haven't learned yet or are just branching off on their own. So they're looking for their own territories, their own clans, and their own space and stuff. And these are typically the ones that people are more likely to see, because they're off, doing their own thing, and the young, stupid ones that don't know any better yet.
Yeah. I remember
it's kind of a common thing in nature, the big monster bucks, they don't grow antlers, they like the size they do for being seen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think it was back in, was it 2021 when I had the broken foot? When we went up to Isle Royale?
That was not Isle Royale. That was...
No, but when we went on the boat, when we went to the lighthouse, and where we went with Jake.
Oh my God.
Was it 2021?
Tell your story.
Anyways, I think it was back in 2021, maybe 2022.
Yeah, right.
We went up Natalie and my wife's cousin Jake and I, we went up to Iowa National Park just for a day to go up there hiking. Well, we had this trip planned like months in advance. Well, unfortunately, I had a broken foot. We couldn't cancel the trip, so we still went up anyway. And on the boat ride, I don't know if you're familiar where it is up there in Michigan. So if you 2022, so you drive up to Grand Portage, Minnesota, and you have to take a ferry over to the national park, which is actually in Michigan waters, and it's about an hour.
That boat ride was so it was
anyway. It's about an hour and a half boat ride to Wendigo, which is on the southern part of the island, and there's mini islands outside the big island, and I had my camera with, and I was just taking random pictures of the islands and other surroundings. Well, when we got back home, I was looking at one of the pictures, and like this island, for sure it's uninhabited, but I could see a giant figure of something walking along the shore, which arms and legs and everything. So I'm pretty sure I caught a Bigfoot on camera without knowing it at the time.
That seems to be the common place for it. When I was out in Colorado, I was doing an experiment. I went up this cliff mountain, whatever, in the mountain range there outside of Bailey, Colorado. And I always hear, if you don't record, you're going to have an experience, right? So whenever we go out, I have GoPros, I have audio and stuff, because you never want to miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I verbally spoke out over this overlook of this mountain here, and I said, I'm going to turn all my cameras off, and I'm going to stand here for a little while, and I want to have an experience. I want to see a Bigfoot. If you're out there, I want to see you. I want to hear you. Show yourself. This is my moment of trust with you that I'm going to turn everything off, and I'm just going to experience this. And so I did. I shut all my cameras off and everything, and I started hearing this weird whistle. I'm pretty sure it was a bird, but I listened to it. I kind of followed the whistle thinking, okay, well, if this is what I wanted, I asked for a sign, I asked for this experience, I'm going to follow the whistle. So I did. And I don't know, didn't really see anything. So I turned back my cameras on, and I recorded, what I had experienced, what had happened and stuff. And I packed up my stuff and I left. Well, I'm driving through Colorado. I was on my way out to Utah then. And I stopped at this overlook, and down below me is this big city in the middle of a mountain valley. And then behind me, there's like a power station or some weird little building. And I'm just snapping pictures of this. And I sent them to my mom. She was back at home and stuff. I'm like, look, this is pretty cool. This is where I am. And she goes, did you mean to take a picture of a Bigfoot? And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh, I thought that's why you sent me this picture. And like, it is that small in the picture. You can zoom in on it and get it bigger, but I don't know how the heck she saw it. Behind a tree, they're like this, it's like a tree that goes up and then kind of a bush on the top of it. So it's, I don't know, a weird little tree. And behind it, there's a pair of legs standing there and what looks like a huge Bigfoot standing behind this tree.
Wow.
And I took pictures of the same area with my camera, like my actual physical camera, as well as my phone. So I have multiple copies of these pictures from different cameras and stuff. And it's there. You can zoom in and see it. And I don't know, it's on our Facebook page. You go back and look, but I don't know what else it would be. It's not a tree. But again, like you said, I'm just taking scenic pictures and stuff. And I find it really ironic that here I am out in Colorado, like maybe not even 2 hours before this, I had said, I want to have an experience. I want to see you, and then here this thing is,
That's awesome.
happened to be. Here's this picture of this thing standing there. So
right. That's so cool. But yeah, and then like a couple days ago, my mom sends me a picture from down in Bay City, Wisconsin. She goes, oh yeah, your sister's friend Jerry, who has a size 12 or size 14 boot, they found this in the snow in Bay City, and it was like a giant footprint that was probably like a size 26. And it's like, again, it's kind of like one of those things. Could it be somebody just like taking their foot and moving around in the snow, but you could
Or something like big
but
old
you could
clown
but you
shoes.
could tell it like had toes, so it's one of those things I'm kind of skeptical on just because of the melting snow this time of year. Was it actually a footprint or
Uh,
somebody's footprint that melted? And but it was
As it
really
melts, it
interesting.
gets bigger than the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, snow is very notorious for that. We've gotten some weird prints and stuff that we found in the snow over the years, but I mean, it still leads evidence, because depending where it's found and, if there's nothing else around, we had the private property in Upper Michigan that we were working at, the Hayden Adventure. It's 80 acres of private property. There's nobody else out there, and we would periodically go out there throughout the winter and hike into this property to this big open area to specifically look for footprints. And the one year we went out there, we found a series of prints on the property. And again, like you said, with melting out in the snow, you can't be really sure of what this thing is. But here's the interesting thing is when you walk, your footprints go like this, right?
Mhm.
In a straight
Yeah.
line like that. So you have the toes up here, the heel down there, right? You walk in a straight line. Whatever this was, they were sideways like this.
What?
Interesting.
So
Wait,
even
I
if
want
this
to do
was
that.
even if this was a bear or something on the property, the prints are like this instead of like this.
Wait, I'm
Huh.
gonna try to do that.
She's
real
gonna
quick.
So they're
try
going-
this.
I'm gonna attempt this. You guys probably aren't
It's-
gonna be able to see this, but
It's like whatever it was sidestepping across the property. And these
Ah.
things were
Ow.
melted out, but they're bigger than anything, like they were bigger than my feet.
Yeah.
So even
Okay.
they're big, but I'm not looking for like the toes or anything. It's just a matter of what the heck leaves prints that are sideways like this. Because okay, if a rabbit is hopping across the property, it's still going to be longer than it is wide. It's
Yeah.
going to look like a big footprint there.
Yeah.
This thing is sideways.
Well, again, a couple of thoughts here. Again, maybe a birth defect. Maybe his legs were
Yeah.
from a birth defect, or maybe it was injured at one time. Got hit by a
True.
car or
So if
something.
I just break my knee, I can do that.
That would be very very difficult. I mean, like if
Yeah.
because both of the feet, it's a clear trackway across the property.
That is really hard. I can only get one foot sideways. The other one still goes like straight out or diagonal.
You got to stand sideways though.
I was.
Yeah.
No,
I
like,
mean,
like stand and
my
walk
thought
like
would be-
this.
My thought with the injury is that there's a guy that is in one of the towns that I go to every week, and he's always out walking around. He hasn't had an injury from a car accident where he walks sideways. That's how the only way he can walk. And that just made me think of that, thinking of him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I've definitely seen some interesting people like out that are crippled or injured or something that do have weird ways that they walk and stuff. And there's nothing against that, but
Yeah.
you're right. There is some disabilities and stuff out there, and I don't know. I just feel like in nature, though, that would be a major disability that it it would have had to have survived whatever happened to it and recovered in
Yep.
order to walk like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or possibly maybe if this just recently happened and it was injured at the time.
Yeah, could be.
You know,
And I
like
mean, we
it's
know,
still a
know
fresh
that with
injury.
a lot of animals and stuff, when they have something like with a birth defect like that, they're usually just left to die.
Right.
You know?
And something that big, you're talking about a 6 to 8 foot tall ambush predator. You're not going to be able to chase down prey. You're not going to be able to live that long with a disability that affects you in that manner. So, like I said, maybe it was a fresh injury or something, because we've never seen any sign. I feel like we found other tracks on the property throughout the years, and none of them really exhibited that that pattern of footprints or tracks. So if this was something that happened, I feel like it would had to have been, that winter that happened to it. And obviously that thing probably wouldn't have made it to spring, I don't think. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really,
That's
I've never
what it
thought of
is.
that though, but
Yeah. Now, one thing I was going to ask you is, what do you think of? I mean, there's a lot of skepticism with it, like the upside down, as a parallel universe, where the Bigfoot or whatever cryptid it may be can just pop in and out.
Mhm.
What do you think of that?
I think that there's a lot of stuff that we can't see. Like when you talk about metaphysical and you get into that realm of different vibrational frequencies, I do an entire presentation on the science behind the paranormal. And throughout the presentation, I continuously show the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So at the very bottom, you have the very low vibrational stuff. You have the radio waves, the microwaves, and so on up. And then you have the visual light spectrum. It starts in the IR and goes up through red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And then you have ultraviolet. And then you get up into the higher spectrums of the radioactivity and stuff. And when we talk about this stuff in paranormal and extraterrestrials or UFOs and that, there's a lot of things that fit along that spectrum
Hmm.
with this higher vibrational level. Some of the things that we see in the UFO realm and that is people that have had contact with these orbs of light or these crafts and stuff get radiation burns, which is something that's going to come from these higher vibrational levels. The more higher vibration, the higher energy, you get up into the radioactive spectrum. And if these things are coming down out of that spectrum into our visual realm, not necessarily coming into, from outer space to our planet, but on our planet at a higher vibrational level and dropping their vibrational energy down so that we can see them and they can interact, they're still going to have a little bit of that radioactive residue left on them, I believe. So this is where you're getting that discharge of the radioactivity and stuff. Um, a lot of your mediums, your psychics and stuff like that, when you go into these meditations and you talk about the monks over in Tibet and stuff, they spend this time meditating to raise their vibrational energy to these resonance chambers that they build over there and these caves and that can vibrate sound with the om and the tones and stuff that they generate, create these vibrations. Even like places like the pyramids and stuff, they found chambers in there that resonate to certain frequencies. And if it's possible that, you look at these animals like Bigfoot and stuff out in the woods, these things are in tune with their environment
Hmm.
on a much higher level than anything that we are as humans.
No, for sure.
They are um, a lot healthier, I would venture, than the stuff that we put in our bodies. I mean, look at how much plastic they found in our DNA and our brain cells and stuff now from the things that we eat and cook in and all that. We're literally poisoning ourselves. And if there are people out there that can resonate and vibrate at these higher frequencies, think of what these other creatures can do. If Bigfoot and other beings out there are natural and healthy and clean, they can pick up on all these vibrations. They can raise their vibrational energy. And there's no reason to think that they can't see or feel or experience these other dimensions as well, the same way that we can. People talk about having mind speak and stuff like that. Well, all of this stuff also falls into that higher vibrational level and all the things. Like I said, when you strip away these names, you strip away what you're talking about and just talk about it as science or metaphysical and all this stuff, it opens up these other realms for you to experience each phenomenon in.
Sure.
So I don't know if they're interdimensional. I don't know if they can go in other planes, but it wouldn't surprise me. I do believe that they're a flesh and blood being. I think that they're very similar to humans on that realm. I think they're like another native tribe species that was here right alongside us since the beginning. I think that they're probably more human-like than primate-like. We're all primates, but I think that they're very intelligent beings. I believe that they have their own communication language, and all the stories that you hear with Native American tribes of even trading with them and having them come to their fires and stuff like that. They clearly know who we are. They clearly know what we're capable of, and they clearly don't want anything to do with us. And I can't blame them. I mean, look at what
Right.
we've done. You look back at when the white man came over to North America and basically stripped the rights of all the indigenous people that were here. Well, here's
Yeah.
another possibly indigenous tribe that lived in America right alongside the Native Americans. And do you think that they want us to strip away their rights and put them on reservations as well? I don't think so.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit more stealthy and go, see what happened to the brothers over there? We don't want none of that. We're gonna go up to the mountains and we're gonna avoid the heck out of these people. So,
Right.
Yeah, one thing I think of when people say, well, they never see them. You guys were both talking about pictures that you have taken and you didn't see it, somebody else did. You know, so yeah,
yeah, I mean I've been in the woods too, and even deer. You literally see a deer cross the road and you turn and look into the woods and nothing is gone.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
And a lot of the times I don't think that it is. A lot of the times with Bigfoot and stuff sightings, I think that they just walk off the side of the road and they drop down on all fours.
sure,
Because if they continue walking, you're going to hear them, you're going to see them, you're going to have that there. But if they go off the road and they crouch down and they hide themselves, they camouflage in real well, you're going
Oh
to
yeah.
lose them. You're going to walk right past them and
yeah,
never even know that they're there. And I
yeah,
think so many times that's what people are having this experience. They have to be an ambush predator in
mm,
order to survive.
yeah,
Um, and with that being said, you look at your other ambush predators and stuff out there that, you know, just disappear. That they have to. That's how they survive. That's what they have to do to exist. And when you loop that and you say that these things, aren't supernatural, they don't have magical abilities to pop into another dimension. Well, they just disappear. They just walk off and are camouflaged in with their environment. It's what they're made for. You look at all these pictures of like owls sitting on the branches of trees, and they turn their head away and their camouflage, their feathers and stuff blend right into the tree. And you'd never see that if you didn't know it was there. You see
Mhm.
snakes and you name it, these animals that are out there that are made for their environment. And I think that's what these things do is they just camouflage that well. They don't need supernatural abilities. They don't need camouflage or cloaking. That's where they live.
Yeah.
sure, yeah. And then the ones that are prey, like deer, the last thing they do before they go out of sight every single time is stop, turn around, and look and see if you're following them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's when they get caught.
Yeah,
Because the other Bigfoot that it didn't know was there just comes out and snaps its neck, and I have dinner.
yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fascinating. Like for the people that are skeptical about all this stuff, people say all the time there's no evidence, there's no proof, all these things and back and forth, but they don't take the time to actually study the other animals. And when you start looking at all the other animals that we know exist, that we have, scientific evidence and proof of, and all this stuff, and you start looping these other creatures, these cryptids into those categories, and you start looking at it from an actual scientific point, it makes sense. Everything
yeah,
that doesn't make sense about Bigfoot, how they stay hidden, how they do all this stuff, the elusiveness, it all makes sense when you look at the other creatures around them. So,
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I was thinking about it the other day, and with deer antlers, they drop them every spring.
mhm.
I've been in the woods my entire life. I'm 52. I have yet to find a deer antler shed.
Same here.
I just never have.
Yep.
So you think about stuff like that disappearing with mice and weather, and I mean, you don't find that many bones in the woods. They disappear after time too.
Well, it's
Bones are
like
very rich. Go ahead.
like even here in our backyard, like we have a family of deer that are back there all the time, and I've seen two or three buck. But then come spring, I go back there. It's like you never see anything. It's like if they lost their antlers, it's like even after the winter, it's like they're just like gone.
Huh.
And it's not a big wooded area either. It's probably about a block or two long. But it's like there you never even see anything.
Mm.
Yeah. Or are you just not looking close enough?
True.
Yeah,
How often have you walked past a stick on the ground and not thought anything of it, and it's really an antler just buried under some leaves? You know?
could
Good
be.
point.
Yeah, humans are very, very poor observers. I've known this just from my personal experience and stuff, and looking back and going, oh man, I totally missed that, and uh you learn to get better. But even so, like if you're not actively looking to observe, you're not actively in that state of mind, you walk right past so many things. And then the next time you go in the woods, like I said, whenever we go out, we record 24/7. From the second we get out of the car, from driving into an area, we record dash cam, we record GoPro, we record night vision, we record everything because the next time we go back to that same spot and you say, hey man, look at that. There's a tree structure over there. Was that there last time? I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't see it. I can go back on every video and look at the location that we were in and go, yes, that was there, or no, it wasn't. Any
Sure.
stick that's out of place, because we have really good GoPros, wide angle, everything. Chances are, if we've walked past it, I can go back and look at it. And there's so many times that has been so beneficial to say that wasn't there before, or yeah, that was, that's just, or oh, that was actually hanging up there and it just fell, and
Mhm.
it clears up, like we were talking about with the paranormal. It's about that looking at your evidence, knowing what's there and being able to compare it. It's all data. It's all
Yeah.
science is. And the more data you have, the more it's beneficial to be able to look into that and have that, because everything that you can eliminate, any paranormal experience that you can throw out and say, okay, no, that's not, that's just a shadow. That's my IR. This is somebody coughing in upstairs, what have you. What you're left with that you can't explain is so much stronger evidence. And it makes
Mhm.
it so much better to say, I threw out 100 experiences that maybe were something, but I threw them away. And I have one that is truly unexplainable. And that is what you go out there for and you look for, because that one experience out of the 100 of maybes is worth more than all those 100 together.
Right. So now jumping into the paranormal a little bit, what are some, experiences you've had over the years investigating?
I I have seen it all. I have experienced it all. I have seen full-bodied entities. I've seen a woman twice, actually going back all the way back to high school. My first One of my first paranormal experiences that I can say is I was in high school at the time and it was in between classes, so there was nobody in the hallways. And I came down the front staircase, and then you turn and you go back the same way down this hallway, and there's a set of doors, like glass doors, and you go through them, and then there's one door on the side, and then it's more hallway. So there's nowhere anybody can go. And I was walking towards these doors, and there's a girl coming towards me, and she kind of looked a little bit like out of place, like, you hear it all the time, like period clothing. It just wasn't quite right. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know who that is. And she was carrying books and stuff. And as we got to the doorway, I went through the doors and she disappeared.
Oh,
Weird.
jeez.
That's
Like I never
awesome.
saw her disappear. Don't get me wrong. I didn't see her disappear.
Yeah.
She just wasn't there. I went through and she wasn't there anymore.
Uh,
And so I've seen that. And that was, way back in high school, that I probably my first paranormal experience there. At another location I work, it's a haunted gentleman's club. And I was opening up one night and I thought I heard one of the girls come downstairs, and I turned around and looked, and by the corner of the stage there was a full body girl just standing there. She was all gray and she just disappeared. That one
hmm.
just gone. I've seen shadow entities at that same location. I used to own a Halloween haunted attraction in another building, and I've seen shadow people peeking around walls at me, little children, just other weird stuff. That place was just weird as hell. I saw a ghost dog. I was coming up a set of stairs at the gentleman's club, and this dog came out from the side hall and stood right in front of me, looked up at me, and then disappeared.
Uh,
At the time, there was a dog upstairs in the building, and I thought, oh, it's just, that dog, coming out in the hallway. Somebody opened the door and let it out, and it was not. So saw that. I've had a 6-foot fake tree thrown at me when I was building my haunted house.
We both did the same thing.
What? That's
Did you see that? Though we both went
yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's I've told that story on numerous podcasts and stuff. I'll give you the quick recap of it. So when I was building the haunted house, the first year that we opened up in there, it's in this big hangar building, and there's skylights in the building. So we were setting up for the first time there, and I had to do all the scenic lighting. And I can't do this during the day because there's too much light from the skylights. So I went out there at night, and we had this swamp scene set up with these 6-foot fake trees and these big 1.5 foot tall dock floats. They're all big styrofoam chunks on the ground with ferns and stuff stabbed in them. And then there's this big waterfall on the side of the walkway there. And I came into the room. It was completely dark except for a couple green spotlights that I had set up that I was working on positioning and stuff. And I had a light on my hat here. That's it. Otherwise, it's completely dark. And I'm looking across at the waterfall, looking down the whole length of the room. And this branch on one of the trees just starts to lightly bob like this. And there's 8-foot walls in here. So there's no air movement. It is hot as hell in here in the summer, just drenched in sweat kind of working. There's no breeze, no movement at all. So I'm like, why the heck is that branch moving? Like, where is that coming from? So I walked over to it, and as I got opposite the big styrofoam block of it, the entire top of the tree just starts to violently shake. And I'm like, all right, this is weird. Like, what the heck is going on? So I took a step back to look kind of behind it. And when I did, the tree lifted up and flew across and landed right where I had been standing.
Crazy.
oh, geez.
What?
Yeah. So we came back the night I took off. And I say that, but it wasn't so much I was scared because, that sounds weird, like trying to be bravado or, whatever, but I wasn't scared. It was like we'd experienced so much stuff in there already. It was just like, all right, you don't want me here. You're not going to let me work. Fine. Screw it. I'm leaving. I'll come back tomorrow and finish what I'm doing. You obviously don't want me here, or you're just going to keep screwing with me. And I ain't got time for this. I'm not going to chase around moving trees all night,
Yeah.
So I took off. I'm done. We came back the next day, and the tree's still laying right where I left it. And I'm like, okay, I didn't imagine it. It's still there. So we started playing with it, and the Weebles, they got like the round base, and you wobble them and they flip back up.
Yeah.
So this tree has a cement plaster base to it in the pot that it sits in. And you can yank this thing over to about a 45-degree angle, and it snaps back to standing.
Okay.
So it does not fall over easy. It's not like a gust of wind knocked it over.
Yeah.
Like, you had to yank this thing down. We have security cameras in there. Now they're set up to view the people coming through the haunt, not just random stuff. So this wasn't on camera. All you could see was like me react to it with my headlamp, and that's about it. You don't actually see the tree move, but you can see there is no animal, no person, no nothing that comes in or out of that area. So there's nothing else. There's no other explanation for what moved that tree, what threw it. So that's still my most insane experience with the paranormal. And that happened before I even started doing CAPS. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really a cool experience. And it right there proved to me, like, I don't know what that was. I have no idea what did that. I want to say it was a raccoon or something that was in the tree and jumped out, but there's no raccoon. I didn't see it, because I would have heard it. I would have seen it run across the floor, something. It would have been on camera. There was nothing. There was no explanation for that.
Hmm.
I've had EVPs. We've recorded several of them in the same building where the tree got thrown at me. We recorded a little girl. There was myself, another guy, and then my mom were in there. And we recorded a little girl's voice that says, "I'm scared."
Huh.
We're talking. We had so when we were doing the investigations there, or not the investigations, when we were setting up the haunt there, things would happen throughout the day and stuff. And one of my friends at the time, Derek, who's on the team now as well, was super into the paranormal. And I was, but just whatever. I'm here to do the haunted house. I'm here to scare people. I don't want to be scared. I got stuff to do, right? And so after we would have these experiences and stuff, he would want to investigate that night. So okay, so we take a camera and we'd go around and okay, if there's something in here, do something, show yourself, make some noise, do it again, right? So one night we had a bunch of stuff happen throughout the day while we were building. So when we got all done, we went around and did this investigation, and we were down on the main floor of this building, and we were walking past this doorway that leads into a middle room, and then there's another room on the far end of it, big rooms. I mean, they're like 100-foot long rooms. And we looked down this doorway and we thought we saw the landlord walking across the second doorway. It looked like he was wearing a white tank top, and then jeans. And we're like, it's the landlord. And me and Derek both saw it. My mom was farther back, so she didn't see it. She wasn't up to the doorway yet. And we're like, hello, is anybody over there? Nobody answers. So we walked through the middle room, and when we got into that third room, we're standing there like shining the flashlights around. There's a lot of junk in there. He had cars and stuff parked in that part of the building and stuff, storage and all kinds of crap. So you didn't really get like a clear line of sight anywhere. So eventually I had left those two standing by the doorway, and I walked through everything trying to flush out the landlord if he was in there, because they'd watch if he came out or something, and didn't find anybody. Well, we went back and reviewed this, and while they're standing there, we're like, is anybody back here, or whatever? And this little girl comes through and she goes, I'm scared. Under everything that we said, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we didn't see a girl or nothing. We saw this guy. So
She was probably hiding from him.
I wouldn't blame her. The reason why I don't have that build or that haunt anymore is because of the landlord. So I do not blame her. But yeah, we've gotten all kinds of stuff. We caught a horse in Gettysburg on the Sox covered bridge, and like a horse whinnying. We also caught cannon fire and musket fire in Gettysburg in like 3 o'clock in the morning. That's really cool.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
I heard that from a few other people too.
Yeah, I never was really excited to go to Gettysburg. It was not like someplace that I wanted to be or investigate or anything. And one of the other people on my team had wanted to go, and we go to conventions all over the country and it fell in line with one of these, so we set it up in that, and then he ended up not going to this thing. So I still went, and my mom and stuff. So we're out there investigating, and we went to the Grove where the night battle took place in Gettysburg. And we did this. We hired a group to a tour guide and stuff to take us around and stuff and guide us in that. And so we're out there, and it was really cool because we heard this like gunfire and stuff and that. And I had an IR camera that I was taking pictures with, and the battery in it died. And I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna switch over to my regular camera with a flash. I'm like, okay, I told my mom and the tour guide, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna flash. So just so you know, it's gonna get bright. So I started taking flash pictures, and that's when we got the gunfire. And it's interesting because it didn't really dawn on us that this is the night battle.
Yeah.
The way that they knew where your opponents were was from seeing the flashes of light from the gunfire. So here I am flashing my light off, telling them exactly where I am, and then they start shooting back. And and the tour guide, like, I realized this. I'm like, I wonder, and he's like, oh my God, I never realized that. So he's like, from now on, I got to start doing that when we take people out here is, taking flash pictures and stuff and
Right.
see if you can recreate this. Cause it was right after that that we started getting the sounds back. And that was really cool. It was a really cool location. And as cliche as it is, Gettysburg has definitely got a feel to it. It is an entire city just with energy of its own. Is
Yeah, that's
nothing.
what I've heard. There's another place too. I think was Harper's Ferry, Maryland. I hear is a lot like Gettysburg, where there's like energy wherever you go.
I don't know. I haven't been there. I've been to Salem.
That'd
Been
be
to Salem,
cool.
Massachusetts. Not to do any research and stuff. It was another trip. I was out to the East Coast and stuff. I went to New York and that, and I stopped in Salem, but it was off season, so a lot of the touristy stuff was closed. But I got
Yeah.
to go to the Witch Trials Museum and a couple other things out there, and that was another really really historic town. I mean, you see like the cobblestone roads still and
Mhm.
the buildings and just amazing place to be.
So, what are some locations that you've been to that like really stand out that you've investigated?
As far as activity, we do the tours here in Wisconsin at the Haunted Bean Snappers. It's over 100 years old. It's a gentleman's club now, but it was the original general store, blacksmith shop, post office, dance hall, all this stuff. It has a huge history. That's where I saw the female ghost, the dog, all that stuff. We have had activity almost every time we've gone in there. On every tour that we've done for the public, there's always been something happen. It's active on a nightly basis. Gettysburg would have to be another one. Just like I said, the energy in that city is phenomenal. Just a really unique place. And I got a chance to investigate Portal 31, which is a haunted coal mine down in Kentucky. And that one was really cool. We didn't have not really any paranormal activity. Had some REM pod activity and little stuff like that, but nothing really significant. When we pulled up there in the morning, though, we had just pulled up to shoot B-roll of the outside of the mine and the area around it. I had shut off the dash cam, got out of the car, and I was setting up my cameras and stuff to record the B-roll. And my mom goes, I just saw a Bigfoot cross the road. And sure enough, yeah, we went over there. There was footprints coming up along the fence line, up the ditch, and then across the road.
Uh,
uh it just missed it. I've gone back over that footage from the dash cam when we pulled up because it's got to be there. In the
Yeah.
amount of time that I got out of the car and walked to the back, it had to have been in the line of sight of that camera, either far back in the woods or something. And there's nothing. There is no footage of this thing. But I went over and I recreated it later that day and stuff. And she says that thing is, twice the size of you, whatever it was, all black, no clothing, just solid black figure, tall, twice the size of me. Just massive being. And we didn't see it. We ended up going and hiking over across the street where it had went. And it is, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Kentucky or anything. This was in like July. They have this stuff down there called kudzu.
Okay.
And it is like this viney plant that literally covers everything. And the hills across the street from there are just covered in this stuff. Like it is such a thick woods, thick with trees and kudzu, and just anything could walk 2 feet in there and just disappear. So it's a really cool place down there. So
Yeah, the only part of Kentucky I've been to is Louisville, so that's
yeah,
hardly into Kentucky.
we go down to CryptidCon in Lexington the last couple of years. And so we've been to Louisville and a bunch of those places and that several times, but it's a really cool place.
It is. Yeah, we were at Waverly Hills last year, and we'll be heading down there in a couple months. And another a great location.
Waverly's so cool.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
It's one of those places you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot more cryptid stuff than I do paranormal and that. So
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of the touristy stuff. But if, like I said, if we're going to a certain location for a convention or something, we'll try and plan and book around
Yeah.
that. But otherwise, I don't do a lot of that stuff, but I'm in the area.
Yeah. So what do you have planned for this year? Anything super fun and exciting?
Oh yeah. So this year we are doing the Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention in Appleton, Wisconsin. It is going to be May 9th through the 11th, and it is kicks off Friday. We are doing a VIP meet and greet dinner with some of our speakers, and then we are going out on a Bigfoot expedition in northern Wisconsin. And Saturday, we have the convention, which will run all day. We have over 30 vendors for people to come out and check out. And we have speakers throughout the day. Myself and a few others on my team were part of My Haunted Hometown. It's a new series that's coming out. It's part of the Discovery Plus network, and that it is out now in Canada. It's supposed to debut in the spring here in the US as well. And we're going to be talking about some paranormal activity from the locations that we were part of working with that show. And we have Stacy Brown Jr. from Florida that's going to be there. We have Miranda Young. She is Ghost Biker Exploration. She's coming up from Kentucky, Tennessee to be part of the convention. And we have Chad Lewis, who is a local folklorist and researcher here in Wisconsin speaking. And then we are premiering the documentary, The Hairy Man of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot, which is a feature-length documentary that my team has put together on all the Bigfoot activity in Wisconsin. So that will premiere at the convention as well. And then that evening, anyone that has a Saturday ticket will also get to do a psychic gallery reading with Angela Zabel that evening. And then on Sunday, we have 2 paranormal investigations as well that people can sign up for and get tickets for as well. And even if you're not from Wisconsin, we have virtual tickets for just $5. You can live stream all of our speakers from anywhere in the entire world, live or at your convenience. And you will also get a link that is valid for 1 month afterwards so that you can watch the documentary as well. So that's what we got coming up. May 9th through the 11th in Appleton, Wisconsin. You can find all that at Wisconsin CAPS, CAPS.com.
Oh, look at that. Chad's already gone. He's already in his vehicle driving over. He's long gone.
It's a little early. He's going to be early.
Well, he wants to be first in line.
There you go. It'll be great.
No, sounds like a good weekend.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about checking that out.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything going on that weekend as far as I'm aware.
I don't think so.
It's definitely a good time.
So besides that, anything else on the horizon?
Always. we are continually working. We do on our YouTube channel, we have a series called CAPS Road Trip, and we travel all over the US and stuff, and we do different research things. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out this year. We are releasing the stuff from our trip down to South Carolina at a haunted grist mill down there that we got to do as part of a convention. We just released the stuff from when I went out to UFO Valley Campground, which is right on the perimeter of Skinwalker Ranch. So we actually got to go up on the mesa and stuff like that. That's part of not the Skinwalker Ranch property, but it overlooks the Skinwalker Ranch property. And so we got to go out and investigate there right next door. That just came out in January on our YouTube channel, and we have another haunted jail coming out on YouTube this year. And we have a lot of new projects coming out as well. We have a survivalist project talking about like things that you should know before you go out in the woods hiking, how to stay safe, and that. We also have Caps Tech hopefully coming out again this year as far as like just talking about new pieces of equipment and things like that. And a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel and a lot of stuff on our Patreon as well. If you're interested in that, you can be a member. I think it's like $3 a month. Just helps support all the stuff that we do. And then, of course, my 2 shows every week on Mondays. You can watch Monsters on the Edge on the Untold Radio Network, and we discuss everything cryptozoology from Bigfoot to lake monsters and Mothman and Dogman. And then on Thursdays, I host the Paranormal Spectrum as well on the Untold Radio Network. And that's everything from UFOs to hypnosis, metaphysical, paranormal, and the whole realm of the metaphysical and paranormal spectrum.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to find a lot of free time to watch some stuff because
free time where your free time is non-existent.
I'm gonna have to make time because it just sounds like too much cool stuff to watch. I'm gonna make
free time. Oh wait, you don't have free time.
You know, I could give up playing video games. You know,
That's
No,
tough.
you can't.
I could give up spending time with you guys.
You gotta have the best of both worlds. You can listen to the podcast while you play video games.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, you know, she plays on her phone watching Peppa Pig on her TV. So it's like, you know, two things at once.
That's when I
You know,
sleep.
I got my computer here. You can see my TV on the wall in the background, two things at once. I got a laptop. Maybe I could do three things at once.
My laptop
Yeah.
for your
That's why I have 3
Research.
monitors.
Uh,
this laptop is for the information you need for your YouTube channel because you don't want to do it yourself.
Here we go again.
Just saying, you can't do these packets by yourself if your life depended on it.
Okay, we'll see.
I can make a better packet with you, and I'm
Okay.
11.
Anyway.
And you're what? 89? Like, I don't even know. You're almost in your 90s. Like, it's so real.
Feel the love.
Hey, you look good for your age, let me tell you.
I know, right?
90
The
looks
love is
good on
coming
you.
out.
Jeez.
I'm older than Chad. How is that possible?
You're older than your mom.
I'm older than my mom. She just turned 70. Happy birthday, Mom. A couple days later. We've already.
A couple days later, this is coming out in like a month.
Okay. Shh. Anyways, before we end this for the night, if you want to give us your socials where people can find you that watch this video.
Absolutely, guys. So you can find all the information about me and my team, Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. You can find that all at Wisconsin, the entire state spelled out, Wisconsin CAPS, WisconsinCaps.com. You can also find us on Facebook, X, and TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon, as well as Blue Sky under Wisconsin Caps or WI Caps on Instagram. You can find where we're going to be at wisconsincaps.com. Click on the public events page and a list of all of our teams, places that we're going to be as far as conventions or library presentations or stuff like that. You can get on there. You can find all of the podcasts and other social media and stuff that we have on our YouTube channel or on our website as well.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We had a very great time chatting tonight.
yeah.
And
Thank you for being on.
yes, I'm definitely
My
going to
pleasure.
go subscribe and check all this stuff out and watch away and look forward to it.
Sounds good, guys.
And maybe we will see you in May at the convention. You never know.
Look forward to it. It's going to be a
All
great
right.
time.
Thanks for being on tonight.
Yep, not a problem, guys. Take care.
All right. Yep.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night, everybody.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
This has been Nightmare Stories of the Other Side, a production of Nightmare Explorers.